Shalom, it's Tila from the Kefar, and in this video, I am going to talk to you about Quizizz. And so Quizizz is a gamified quiz trivia site that has some similarities to Kahoot, but it's not quite the same. I actually prefer Quizizz for the world language classroom because it's easier for students to manage, and it's also something that we can play together as a group if you are teaching synchronous classes, but they can also do it separately if your classes are asynchronous or if you just want to assign it as a practice, a way to learn vocabulary leading into something else. And so a little bit about me before we get into it. I have been teaching Hebrew online since 2015, and I also work with schools and organizations on teaching language online, so providing trainings, adapting curriculum, everything that goes into teaching languages online. Okay, so in a moment, I'm going to share with you my screen and just walk you through a couple of the features that Quizizz offers. So this is just going to be a quick overview of Quizizz, and I'll tell you a little bit about how I use it in my online Hebrew classes. A full Quizizz training is available if you're interested in having it for your language department. Just reach out to me. My contact information is below, and we can do a step-by-step training on how to create quizzes and how to use all of the reporting features. And so you have 5 different question types, and this is a fairly recent update. Several months ago, we didn't have all of these options available, but now you have multiple choice, checkboxes, fill in the blank, poll, and open-ended questions. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to focus just on the multiple choice question option. So when you click on that, one of the great things about the Quizizz interface is that you can see exactly what the screen will look like, what your students will see as you're building the question. So this is just a sample device, and your students can use any device as long as they have access to the internet. So smartphone, tablet, or a computer will all work really great with Quizizz. And so one of the reasons why I love using Quizizz in the language classroom is because you have the option to either write in a question, right, whatever question you want, or you can upload an image, or you can record audio. And the record audio feature, I feel like, is gold, particularly because I work with a lot of students who are beginners, and we spend a lot of time initially building up their speaking and listening skills. And so they are able to understand, they are able to communicate, but they haven't yet learned how to read. And if you teach a language that doesn't use the Latin alphabet, you may find that this is the case for your students as well, where if you teach Arabic or Mandarin or Russian or anything else, they may, if you give them instructions verbally, they can follow it right away, they can respond to you, but if you give them something to read, they won't be able to use that. And so with the audio feature, reading isn't required, it's not necessary. I can record the questions here, whatever information I need the students to know, and they're able to understand it and participate and play the game even without being able to read in the language. Okay, and again, you can also upload images as well. And so for the answer options, you have the ability to just type it in, and again, you see it populate as soon as you type it in real time, or you can also upload a picture. Okay, you can drag and drop an image, or you can, if you find an image anywhere else, you can copy the link image and paste it here, and it will input the image automatically. Okay, and here you can adjust the time. The default is 30 seconds, but you can reduce it to as little as 5 seconds or add time to as much as 15 minutes. Okay, and then once you're done, you just save the question. So we'll just put in a sample question here, or sample options. Here's the question. If you try to save without picking an answer, you'll get the notification that your answer wasn't selected. So you'll need to select what the correct answer is. You also don't need to use all 4 answer key options. You just need a minimum of 2. If you put in more, then great. Otherwise, you can just delete those options. And as you can see, it'll populate automatically to your right. And then you can save those. You can duplicate questions, or you can just click and add different types of questions, okay? And then once you're done, you can save the quiz and you're good to go. And so there are a couple of different things that you can do with a Quizizz game or assignment that you set up. One is that you play a live game, but unlike Kahoot, when you play a live Kahoot game, for instance, students have to see your screen or view one central screen in order to see the question and the answer options, and then they select whatever option they want on their own devices. With Quizizz, students see the questions and the answers on their own devices. Okay, so that's one difference. And so another difference is that students are working at their own pace. And so they're answering the same, let's say 20 questions, 30 seconds for each question, but while they're still competing against each other on the scoreboard, they're still moving independently and answering independently. So you may have some students who finish, 3 or 4 minutes ahead of other students. And so you may just want to have something for them to work on, or just give them instructions on something that you want them to do once they complete, as you're waiting for the rest of the class to finish the quiz. So again, they are still competing against each other. You still have that scoreboard aspect that is available in Kahoot, and you do have the option to turn that off if you would like, but just know that students are working more independently, even though you're doing it live as a class. Now, in terms of more independent options, you can also assign a Kahoot for students to work on independently as homework or for practice, and I'll show you what that looks like. And so this is an example of a practice assignment that you can provide to students using the same quizzes that you may have played live in class, or maybe instead of doing it live in class, you provide it to them this way. And in this one, I recorded the question so students can just click and hear whatever the question is. And then I use pictures for the answer options, because again, this was designed for students who are not yet reading in Hebrew. And so it's a great way for me to still be able to assess what it is that they understand and where they are. And so another great feature of Quizizz is the flashcard option. So it will take the questions that you created, again, for that quiz, and it will turn them into flashcards. So you can have one side, they'll have to listen to something and they can say out loud what it is, and then flip the card and see if they were correct. And then they can identify whether they got it or whether they need to review that one. And then the colors up here will change depending on whether or not they need to review or whether they feel they understood. And of course, it doesn't just have to be audio and pictures. You can use text as well. And the flashcards will just automatically be generated from the quiz that you built. And so the last thing that I'm going to show you, and again, this is just like an overview. I am happy to do a full training. Just reach out to me. My information is in the description below. But the last feature I'm going to show you is the reporting feature. And so the reporting feature you get to see as the instructor. And so the reporting feature is very helpful as an instructor. And it comes up whether you are doing the quizzes as a live class. You can see each question that students are answering in real time. You can see whether they're answering the questions correctly, which ones they're getting incorrect. You can see exactly how much time they're spending on each question. And then you can generate that report when it's done and see, let's see, what are the questions that multiple students are getting wrong? What are the questions that students are spending the most time on? So it offers a lot of really, really useful data. And so it offers a lot of really useful data that you can use to inform your instruction. And so this was one Quizizz that I assigned for homework. I have my general information up here. I can see the results based on my students, each individual student. I can see the results split up by the question, the percentage of students who selected each answer choice, okay? And there's also the overview tab, which is the one that I use the most because it's the grid that provides the most comprehensive look at the students and the questions and what was answered correctly and incorrectly, and again, how much time. And you have the option to print this information, and you can also download it. Okay, so this was just an overview of Quizizz and the platform. I would love to talk more in detail about the classes that you can set up on Quizizz, how to set up Quizizz from start to finish, step by step, and incorporating the different question types and talking through what sorts of activities would be most fitting for the different question types and for Quizizz overall. And if there are other platforms that you are interested in exploring or other EdTech tools, let me know. And if there are ones that I am familiar with and already use, I would be happy to do a video and put together a training on those as well. In the meantime, also be sure to check out my ClassKick video. ClassKick is an awesome platform that I use in almost all of my language classes across ages, across levels. It's really great, and it can be adapted for all different types of projects and activities. So check that out, definitely. Connect with me on LinkedIn, and I will see you in the next video. Lahita out.